we moved up there in the middle of my 8th grade year. So go up there and they rent this house on 5 acres, beautiful property, ponds, like trees right by the Bitterroot River. The house they rented, though, had 3 bedrooms, and it was one for them, one for my little brother who's just a few months old at this time, and then one for my sister who's 4 years younger than me. And so they said, Eric, you're going to live in the garage. I literally had this plastic tarp at the end of my bed that separated my bed from the truck that pulled in. And luckily, my half of the garage had a fireplace in it that kept me semi-warm during those winters of Montana when it would get to negative degrees. And so that was where I lived, man. And then, one night when I was 13 years old, they came home arguing. Wasn't anything different than any other night, but I was brushing my teeth. And I really felt like in that moment, as I was brushing my teeth, that God was speaking to me. And he said, man, you got to turn around. You got to look and see what's going on. So the way the house was set up was behind me from the bathroom was the kitchen to the pantry to the garage door where my room was at. And so as I turned around the corner, he's on top of my mom in the pantry there. And just one punch after the other, boom, 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 right to her face. And I'm like, dude, I got to stop this guy. So I walked up behind him. I grabbed a cast iron pan out of the cupboard and I swung as hard as I could. And I split the back of his head open. And in that swing, he turned around and he said, what the? And as he said that, I took another swing and split his forehead open. And still didn't knock him out. He was so drunk, but I had fallen over in that second swing. And I remember him standing up over me and he was yelling. And my mom jumped up and landed like 6 punches in a row. Blood splats on the wall. I mean, crazy. Cops finally show up, take him to jail. My mom doesn't press charges. Next thing you know, I'm kicked out. So I got kicked out of the house. I had 3 months left of my freshman year of high school at that time. And so I remember, my buddy Forrest and his dad, they had this house in downtown Stevensville that we would walk to school. And I got to go live with them. I slept on their hardwood floor for the last 3 months of my freshman year, man. And it was just an interesting thing, man. And that set me on this path of destruction for the next 10 years of my life.
So, now just listening to your story, it reminds me of a book I read called A Child Called It, and where the child actually had to sleep out in the garage. And,
Oh, wow.
That just really hit home for me. And now, like when I was out on my own at the age of 16. And so talk to us, what a day was like, from ages, 14 to 18, what your day was like and how did you survive?
Yeah, so I went back to live with my dad in Washington State, back in Kennewick, where I, originally started there. And he rented a house for him and I. And he would put $20 in the cup for my lunch money for the week. And then he'd fill the freezer with Hunger Man meals and cereal and milk in the house and make sure there was food in there. And then he'd go stay with his girlfriend. So most of the time I stayed by myself at the house. I'd see my dad in passing a few times a month.